Hey everyone, welcome to Accounting 202. This is Principles of Managerial Accounting. I'm Cheryl Weston. I'm going to be your instructor for the 16-week course. And hopefully you've already gotten into the Western Online homepage for this course. It will look something like this. I haven't made all of my updates yet, uh, but it should appear something like this when you get in. And if you click on the syllabus from the link right up at the top here, we're going to walk through that. And then I'm going to show you some of the materials that we're going to be using in the course. And then if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out. I'm going to make this slightly bigger. Okay, so taking a look at the syllabus. Again, this is Accounting 202. There's a star number. It should show up on your WIU STARS account that you're registered for the course. And when you're registered for the course, then you should be able to access the course on Western Online. Um, I am your instructor. My background, to introduce myself a little bit, I started out in public accounting many years ago. So I am a registered CPA. I did that for a while. I worked in private industry. I've had businesses of my own. I have been teaching at Western now for over 20 years. I do advise for a group on campus, Beta Alpha Psi. I've been the MAC, Master of Accountancy graduate advisor as well. My contact information right here, that's my email, CA Weston. People like to misspell the last name, so just think Western without the R, so ca-weston at wiu.edu. My office is located in Stipes 420 if you happen to be on campus and want to stop in to see me. And here are my set office hours, so I'm always in my office at those times, Tuesday, Thursday, 1:30 to 3, Wednesday, 3 to 4. In addition to being in my office, I'll also turn on that Zoom link down here. So if you are a true online virtual student and want to pop into office hours, you should be able to click on that link. I'll make sure it's hyperlinked. I do believe it is. You should just be able to click on that and join in. I will say on occasion, sometimes I forget to turn that on. So if you happen to pop into the Zoom and I'm not there, feel free to send me a quick email saying that you're in the Zoom and I will get that turned on. So UTech support, if you have any problems with your WIU technology, there's all of their information as well. So course meeting information, this course runs the full 16 weeks. You'll find all of your content. You can access it through Western Online. It's a 3 semester-hour credit course and it's asynchronous online. So you work at your own pace. We don't have a set let me go back up a step. We don't have a set class time. The material is all out there for you to work on. It does have due dates, so you are expected to complete things by a certain time. You can work ahead. I do have some people ask me that, but we'll talk about that when we get more into the details. Course description, this is what's in our course catalog. This IAI, it's like Illinois articulation. I'm not even sure what it stands for now, but that just means that we're meeting all these requirements of what we're covering in the course. So this course could transfer basically to anywhere in Illinois and probably outside of that as well, as far as covering these topics. You do need to have already taken Accounting 201, which is financial principles of accounting. And if you're an accounting major, you do need a C or better in both of those courses to advance to your intermediate level classes. The textbook that we're going to be using, we're going to be using a McGraw-Hill product with Connect Access. So you don't need to purchase a physical printed out textbook. All of your materials will be online through Connect, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit. This is the ISBN number for that Connect Access. It does include an electronic book, and that's where you'll access all of your assignments. To purchase that, you could click on the link and purchase that Connect Access through the WIU bookstore, or when you register in Connect, you can go ahead and purchase it directly through McGraw-Hill to get that immediate Connect access. Okay, so what are we going to be doing in this class? Well, you should have already had financial accounting. So financial accounting, we were doing journal entries. We were looking at all the transactions that happen, putting that in journal entries. Those journal entries flow through to our financial statements. So we did all of those, an income statement, balance sheet, statement of stockholder equity, and a statement of cash flows. Now that we're on the more looking from the manager's point of view, we will be doing very few journal entries. We're going to be looking at what kind of information, financial information, does a manager need in order to make good financial decisions. So we'll be doing more analysis. We'll be doing cost volume profit questions. You know, if I raise my selling price to this and am able to decrease my expenses here and there by this amount, what's that going to do to my net income? Also, things like should I purchase capital projects? Like, do I buy a new piece of equipment or should I just make the investment in repairing an old piece of equipment or opening up a new factory or get rid of a product line or something like that. So we'll be looking at a lot of different types of decisions that way. And then we'll spend more time with manufacturing companies. So we'll be looking at their inventory and creating that, what goes into it, materials, labor, overhead costs. So we'll dive into that and different types of costs, variable, fixed, mixed costs. What's a break even point? You know, how much do we need to sell in order to break even, which is cover all of our cost? And then, you know, what's it going to take to make a profit of $1,000 or $10,000? So we'll be doing a lot of analysis. We'll use the income statement quite a bit, but that's it as far as that financial accounting work that we did. All your definitions like assets, liabilities, stockholder equity, things like that will definitely be utilizing that you learned in 201, but it will be quite a bit different. It is a new textbook. It is all new material. Okay. So that's enough of that. Anyway, getting into all the technical requirements, Western is now using the standardized syllabus. So this might be a little bit different from how I presented it in the past. If you'd had me for a previous class, general technical information through the university, there's all your contact information. So you've got that. If you're not familiar with Western Online, I'll show you in Western Online, you can link to a module that you can do to kind of help you get familiar with that. So that's available to you. So Western Online, here's more information about it. Running a system check on your computer to make sure it's going to run correctly. Here's a tip sheet. But you will access the course through Western Online, and then Western Online would then also take you into Connect. So all your Connect information is going to flow through Western Online. So I'll have announcements on Western Online about things in Connect. Your due dates for things will flow through to Western Online. Your grades in Connect will flow through to Western Online. So it would be helpful to get notifications through Western Online for announcements that I post that will happen at least a couple times a week. Also due dates. So you can set up that notification setting in Western Online and even get text messages if you want about due dates and announcements being posted. So you're never not in the know on those things. And the syllabus has links to click on. It'll walk you through how to do that. And then the content of the course, all the chapter material is going to be in Connect. So you will need to get registered in Connect. And I've got information about Connect here as far as what you need on your computer. You can run a troubleshoot. Here's their support number if you have any issues. And here is, if you click on this link in the syllabus, it'll take you directly to a little video about how to get registered and Connect through Western Online. So when you're in Western Online, you can link to Connect right here. So you just click on that. When you do this the first time, um, it's going to ask you to register for the course. So, like what my screen is looking like right now, yours is going to look a little bit different. So, when you first do that link from Western Online into Connect, you're going to have to do the Connect registration. And so, how will you know what to do there? Oh dear, hold on. Again, if you watch this little video, it's gonna take you through it. So, and at the time that you register, if you have a Connect access code that you purchase someplace else, you can put that in. You can also sign up for a 2-week free trial of Connect, so you don't have to have purchased anything just yet. So you can click on that to get started in Connect. Or you could select where you just want to go ahead and buy that access code when you first go in. But you don't have to buy it when you first go in. You can do the free trial, and then you'll be able to access all the material for a little bit, and it will keep prompting you to purchase the Connect Access if you haven't already. So let me keep going with the syllabus. I don't want to forget anything here. You are going to need, obviously, a computer internet access. You do need a webcam for exam purposes and a microphone. So we will be using a lockdown monitor and browser during the exams. So you need both of those things. It's going to be recording you, recording your computer, and all the audio. And you have to have those for this course. We're going to be using Proctorio. Before exam time, I will have you load that on your computer. We'll run through a sample couple of questions just to make sure everything's going to run smoothly. But if you run into any problems, here's a guide that they have, and then also here's the link to the Proctorio customer support. Okay, so what are we going to be doing? It's 16 weeks and we've got a lot of material to cover. So you will come into your Western Online class. Right now, there'll be some sort of welcome announcement. And then to first off, you'll start in this Getting Started folder. What else is available to you? There are PowerPoint slides. These are the PowerPoint slides for the Connect chapters. So if you want the chapter 1 PowerPoint slides, you can just click here in Western Online and download those if you like to have those as a reference material. I think it's a good idea, but that's, your personal preference. Okay. So, and this is in the content area. So PowerPoint slides will be there for every chapter. They're already out there. Okay, but what will we have available every chapter? So every chapter, you're going to have these 4 things. 3 of those will go towards your grade. So let me go back to the syllabus. I guess I'm kind of skipping ahead. I'll come back to these things. Okay. Here. Okay, so every chapter will cover about a chapter a week. You're going to have a concept overview video assignment it's going to be worth 10 points. You will need to watch the videos and then answer the questions. And these will be, again, in Connect, but you link to them from Western Online. So Western Online, you would go into the chapter 1. Your starting point would be the COV. And so once you've registered for Connect, it will have that link where you can just launch it. Let me say I'm a student and go ahead and start this. And here's learning objective 1, understanding cost classifications for assigning cost to cost objects. Are they a direct cost or an indirect cost? We deal a lot with this. So there's a little video to watch, and then there's a knowledge check. And so you need to do both things. You need to watch the video, you need to do the knowledge check. If you prefer to go to the book, you can link to the textbook from there. And I'm just kind of curious. Oh, so I don't know if it takes you to the exact place in the book, so you may have to go ahead and put yourself in chapter one. And then here's more information. I mean, this is the textbook. Here's all the information about direct costs and indirect costs. So you can always pop in there. So that's available to you. And you will have this check my work. So once you put something in, let's see, am I typing? Oh, most of the boxes have a down arrow, and I'm just randomly picking things and didn't even read the questions. Okay, and now let's hit check my work. And hey, I got one of them right. So it will indicate what you didn't get right and what you did. And then you can say return to the question and you can make changes to it. When you're done, you would say score the answer. It scores it, and then you can move on to the next question. And you can always pop around to different questions. That little grid down at the bottom, oh, maybe it won't let you. So maybe it won't let you pop around in the COVs, but that's what the COVs are like. You do have unlimited attempts to complete them. So as long as it's before the due date and time. And so how will you know the due date and time? One of two places. So in Western Online, um, let's see, did it show it here? Okay, it doesn't show it there in content, but if you do come down here, it is on the calendar. So the oh, sorry, where are we at? The COV for chapter one, it's due on September 4th. And when you click into it, it will say it's due on September 4th, and you can also link to it, connect from the calendar listing as well. Okay, I want to, okay, when you're in Connect, this is kind of the Connect homepage, so you can always kind of back out to this homepage. And in chapter one, you can also see COV is due September 4th. There's also a smart book assignment. So smart book assignments, there were 10 points. There's one for every chapter. This is where it gets more into asking you questions about the material. So Smart Book, you would click into that assignment, and it's kind of two parts. It's reading and the questions, but as far as what you're graded on, it's answering the questions. So they can be fill in the blank, it could be multiple choice, you just never know. Okay, so I come into this question, I'm reading it. A blank blank is anything for which cost data are desired, including products, customers, plants, office locations, and departments. And I'm going to be like, I have no idea about this, so I'm going to go and read about it. And so, at least in the Smart Book, it will take you to the specific area that it's asking you about. And then you can go back. Oh, you can go back to the question. Um, I'm going to say indirect cost, and I'm going to say my confidence is low. So you do have to answer what your confidence level is, high, low, or medium, before it's going to score it. That was not correct. It wanted to say a cost object. A cost object is anything for which cost data are desired. So you could collect cost by products, by customers, by plants is what it's indicating. So it's like, I didn't get that. So I'm going to move on to the next question. And you'll see up here, there's no completion. It wants me to get through 27 concepts. Clearly, I did not read appropriately to be able to answer that question. So I'm moving on. So next question, material costs used to make the couch for this furniture company that makes couches, is a what type of cost of the customer placing the order. And so again, you can click in and read more about that. Okay. Mm. And then go back to the question. Okay, so that time I did answer correctly. And so, yay, I got the correct. And it's so small, I don't know if you can see it, but up here, there's a little half bar filled in. I still haven't gotten a full concept, but I'm starting to fill this in. So this will fill in as you start hitting those concepts questions once you start answering them correctly. So to get all 10 points, you do need to get this all filled in and filled in correctly. You would be able to, I can't do it on my end, but you would have a save and exit, or anytime you exit out of the smart book, it's going to save what you've done so far. So if you've got 5 minutes to work on something, you can pop into the smart book, do some of those, exit out, it saves what you've done, and go back into it later. Due dates and times, it's going to submit automatically to me at 11:59 p.m. on September 4th. So make sure you've completed that all by that due date and time. If you get done before that, you can always go back into the Smart Book and do additional questions. You can use it as a study tool before exams or refresh at any point in time. So you can always do more, but in order to get the full 10 points, you need to have completed all the concepts. The other chapter assignment that you're going to have, so every chapter about every week, you're going to have a homework assignment. These are end of chapter assignments. There were 20 points each. They're also in Connect. Okay, and we'll show you what those look like. So in the chapter 1 folder in Connect, here's the homework assignment. So I'm going to click into that. I'm going to say begin. And I'm going to say continue. It's worth 20 points. So this first problem is a fill in the blank. We're trying to classify things. You know, is this cost a variable cost or fixed cost? Is it selling, administrative? Is it a manufacturing cost that's direct or indirect? So anytime you see a blue box, it's looking for an answer. So property taxes at the factory, that's going to be fixed. And we're going to say that is an indirect cost. Okay. And then the resources available to you, you can click on that check my work. It is saying those things correct, but what if it was also an administrative cost? It wouldn't have checked for that because I didn't put anything in that box. So it does like what I put. Could there be something else? Possibly. So again, you can go to the ebook, electronic book to read more about the cost classifications. And then also what's not showing up on my screen, but will show up on yours, there's going to be an Ask My Instructor box. And if you have a question specifically about this problem, if you click on the Ask My Instructor box, you can type in a question directly to me for this specific problem, and then I can respond to it, and you're going to get that information so you can keep moving on with the assignment. Keep in mind, I'll be answering during normal business hours. So I will not be online at 11 o'clock at night answering questions. So just so you're aware of that. Other questions will be calculations. You know, we're dropping in some numbers here. Obviously, I'm just making up some numbers, but I still have to check my work. Clearly, it didn't like those numbers. Um, and I need to understand this a little bit better. Another thing that you might see, particularly when it's an exercise being assigned, is a hint. So if you click on that hint, it's going to take you to an example that's going to walk you through step by step how to fill in these numbers. So that's a great resource for you to use. When you're working on homework and maybe you've gotten through one of the exercises, but you still have, three more to go. So there's four assignments within this homework assignment. Um, you should hit save and exit. So when you go to leave it, hit save and exit. It'll save what you've done. And then you can always pop back in later to finish the assignment. Homework will also submit automatically on the due date and time. So it would submit to me at 11:59 p.m. on September 4th. So you need to have it completed by then. The other thing that's available to you, and I don't talk about this in the syllabus, but in every chapter there's practice problems. So if you want to come back later, like I really didn't understand that exercise 1-11, I want to try something like that again, can pop into this practice problem area and do some additional problems for practice. So practice means you're not going to receive any points for that. And oh, it's not letting me do it. So I will make sure those are turned on. But I've got a selection of problems similar to what's in the homework and other short examples within that practice set of problems. The answers are available right away. So you can do check my work. You can say, show me the answer. You do have to work sequentially through those practice problems. So you have to finish one to get to the next one. And if it's something that you don't want to cover, just say, show me the answer, and then move on to get to something that you actually are interested in doing or feel like you need that extra practice. That's totally up to you if you want to do those or use those as a study tool, but I just want to make you aware that they are out there. So those are the three chapter assignments that happen every week. So the Smart Book is going to be 10% of your grade, homework is 20%. The COV assignments are also 10% or 100 points. And then the Getting Started folder. So getting started, so when you're in let's see. So when you're in Western Online, in your content area, there's this Getting Started folder, and I've got several things set up in Connect. So some tutorial assignments. So when you go into Connect, there's a tutorial about how to use Connect. It's got some videos, ask you a couple questions. There's a tutorial on the smart books and the COVs, along with some questions. There's a tutorial about the end of chapter homework. So you'll click in, watch those videos, answer those questions. And these are all worth a few points each. So they do count towards your grade. And then another type of assignment that we're going to have before each exam is an Excel simulation assignment. And I'll post a video about that later, but basically it's an end of chapter problem where you're going to be using Excel. You'll be able to open Excel within Connect, so you don't need a separate license for that. It will be provided to you. And basically, when you input your answers, everything has to be input as an Excel formula. But I will have a video about that later. Once you get done, and then there's an overview video about Proctorio, which is our lockdown monitor and browser that we're going to use for exams. So do all those tutorials. And then once you've made it through those tutorials, once you've reviewed the syllabus, there's a syllabus quiz. So be sure to do that. And overall, those Getting Started assignments are worth 20 points. There's a few points attached to each. I think I have a due date on that. I might need to change that. Sorry. I will double check on the due date of that. I think it's Sunday, August 30th. So I've got to misprint my syllabus already. I'll have to update that. I believe it's Sunday, August 30th, but I will confirm that. Okay. So that's kind of the weekly things that are going to happen. And then additionally, you will have three exams in the course. So there'll be three exams, each worth 120 points over the most recent material. You can read more about it in the syllabus. Okay. And before each exam, you will have a quiz. So the quiz, you'll do it in Connect. You do only have one attempt. Everything else, SmartBook COV, homework assignments, you can make multiple attempts if you want to do that. Only the best one counts. But the mini test, you're down to one attempt. It won't have check my work. You can use your textbook and your notes in order to answer the questions on the mini test. Um, so that will be due one of those before each exam, and also an Excel simulation before each exam. Excel simulations will be about 33 points each. The mini tests are around 40 points, each exam 120. So overall, these are going to make up Excel sims will be 10% of your grade. Mini tests end up being 12%. Your exams in total end up being 36% of your grade, 12% for each one. So let's go back as to, what resources are you able to use for each of these assignments? So COV, SmartBook, homework, you have access to the textbook, your notes. It does need to be your own work. This is a course where you are not to be using AI to answer your questions, and I'll take you back to that statement here. So let's go to the artificial intelligence statement. So that is in the syllabus. It's not permitted in the course. The only things permitted if you were submitting something that you were writing, grammar check and spelling check is allowed. You can use the check my work feature and the ask my instructor features within Connect. Connect now also has in their reading like an AI assist with the reading. So you can use the tools, the AI tool that is built into Connect for reading if you want to. It's not required that you use it. But outside of that, there's no AI needed to be used or wanted to be. You cannot use AI for this course. Why? It's basic principles in managerial financial information. So I want you to know these things at least once in your life, after the fact. Would you be, looking things up on the internet? Sure. But you need to have some idea what these very basic concepts, what they are, how to use them, how to apply them. And that's also going to help with your critical thinking process, that you don't have to go to an AI assist every time there's a little bit of something going on within your organization. So that's an AI statement. And then also, um, I do, for every assignment listed, have this resources allowed on assignments. So if you look at that, you can use your textbook, your notes, in completing the COV, the SmartBook, the homework assignments. All your work should be using your own brain and not using AI, and not using your neighbor's information. So it needs to be your own work. And when it comes to the mini tests and the exams, I don't want those questions being sold, reproduced outside of the exam setting. So you won't have access to the questions later. I can go over with you an exam score and areas where you had problems, but I won't be releasing those questions. You are not to share those, sell them, or whatever with anyone else either. So mini test exams, that's both of those things are listed on the syllabus. So be sure to refer to those. There will be a little bit of extra credit opportunity, what I call career builders assignments. We do have professionals that come onto campus and do presentations about accounting, financial information. I have those available through Zoom. Most of those will be Wednesday nights at 5 o'clock. There'll probably be a few other opportunities, but if you attend presentation, write up a summary of it. You can earn some extra credit points, up to 20 points. So we'd love to have you, whether you do it for extra credit or not, but we want to make sure we include the online learner in those, and you could earn some extra credit. So here's the overall breakout of what makes up the course grades. And then we also have the grading scale that you can take a look at that. So in order to get a C, you do need to score at least a 73%. Okay, let me go back. I feel like there was other syllabus stuff that I haven't talked about. Questions. Okay, where was I? Let's see, we did all this. Office hours. Oh, if you're sending me an email, try to put in the subject line that you're in Accounting 202 online. That's really helpful. So I don't have to track down who you are, what class you're in. I do have 6 different classes, so that would be very, very helpful. Tutoring. Hey, let's talk about that. I'd love to have you contact me during office hours or setting up an appointment. But outside of that, there are some options, and I know students have appreciated this in the past. We do have a tutor lab on campus. It's in Stipes 306. I don't have the hours available yet. I'll put an announcement on Western Online when I have those. So you can stop in physically at 306 to get help. That same tutor who's working in the lab in person will have on the Google Chat for the tutor lab, so you can connect virtually during the hours that the tutor lab is open. So you can connect through Google Chat. Let's see. Move me. Let's see. So if you go into your WIU Gmail account and you can go to chat, and then I want to reach out to the accounting tutor, ACCT tutor at wiu.edu. And hi, can you help me with my homework? Um, and be patient if you're using that. They could have somebody in the lab that they're helping. And then with Google Chat, you can share your screen with them too, so they can see what it is you're working on. Another option is Knack tutoring. So Knack kind of works like Uber. Here's a little video that you can click on to learn more about it, where you're going to go to the wiu.joinknack.com site. You're going to sign up, and then you're going to see the tutors that are available. You get to select the tutor that you would like, and you can set up the time to meet with them. So it could be in person or it could be virtual. You would have to work that out individually through NAC with that tutor. And just don't wait till the last minute. Don't think that someone's going to be waiting at midnight to help you with homework. So if you know you're kind of struggling with something, reach out then and set up that help in advance as much as you can. This is a new statement that we're required to have on the syllabus. What our interaction is going to be every week. Well, a couple times a week. Every week at the start of the assignments, I'm going to have a Western Online announcement about the assignment, the chapter material. I do sometimes have some YouTube videos of myself that I'll post in that announcement. And that's up to you if you want to use those, but I'll go over a little bit about the assignments in that chapter, anything that I think students might have difficulty with, and you're always able to pop into office hours or the Ask My Instructor. Oh, I want to show you and connect the Ask My Instructor. That is the one thing that's kind of weird. So let's say you were in the chapter 1 homework, you were working on a problem, you couldn't figure out how to do something, so you clicked on Ask My Instructor and said, I can't figure out this number, can you help? Okay, so that comes to me. I respond, and how do you know when I have responded? So it's kind of weird. So you've got to be in this home page of Connect. You're going to come over here to your menu. You're going to go underneath your name, and you're going to click on Messages. and that's where you'll see my response. So it's a little bit clunky, and I don't think it alerts you when I have answered. So you'll just have to check there for that response. And again, it's not real time. So just keep that in mind when you send something through that Ask My Instructor. So it is kind of helpful not to wait till the last minute to complete assignments. That way, if you've got questions, you're able to get those answered prior to the due date and time. Um, basically, gosh, some of this stuff is new. I apologize. What's my expectation of your participation and attendance is, that you're going to do the work that's out there. You're going to reach out for help when you need it. I will also be monitoring to some extent, not 100% with every single assignment. If I see someone not completing something or not doing well, anticipate an email from me directly to you regarding that and seeing what we can do to help. I can't always do that every single time. So definitely reach out to me, reach out to tutors, seek that help. But just to make you aware, this is a 3 semester credit hour course. You should be spending 12 to 15 hours per week on this class. So normally we'd have 3 hours of class time, and then you'd be spending another 3 to 4 outside of class preparing. Some of you, this may come a little bit easier and you can be on the short end of it. Some of you will be longer. I would anticipate some longer time when it comes to getting ready for exams. Feedback, you can always come in and talk to me during office hours. There's a evaluation at the end of the course. Um, okay, we already talked about those things. Okay, I think we're pretty much through it. I'll give you a quick peek at the schedule. So basically, sorry, a couple more things. I don't want to just scroll over it. Late work, if you had something happen that you weren't able to get the assignments done that week, please reach out. I want you to do it and to have that information. I don't want you to be lost and struggling. So, I'm fairly flexible. Generally, I'd like you to reach out before something happens, before the due date, excuse me. Um, Particularly for exams. So if you know you have a conflict with an exam, getting it done by the due date, definitely reach out. Please be courteous in all your correspondence and respectful of fellow students and myself, and I will be the same. There might be a situation where I need to adjust the syllabus, like I think I had the getting started due date incorrectly listed. So I won't make those adjustments without communicating that information through email, through Western Online announcements. So it is important to have those notifications set up. Here's all the institution statements. There's links to these policies, so you can take a look at those if you need to. And then at the very end, here's the course schedule. So our first week is getting registered for everything, getting familiar with everything. So you've got the tutorials about Connect. You need to get registered in Connect, review the syllabus, take the syllabus quiz. Oh, look, there's the due date, August 30th. That was correct. So the due date for the getting started week assignments is August 30th. And then about every week, we're going to cover a chapter. So we're covering chapter 1, and you're going to, in that first week, you've got the COV, the videos, the smart book, and the homework assignments. So for every week, I'll put out an announcement with information about that chapter. If there's any YouTube videos that I have, I'll have that in the announcements. I do recommend that you start On the weekend. Oh no. Start on the weekend looking at, watching those COV videos, reading the chapter, do a little bit of work that way, maybe get those COVs done. That way at the start of the week, you can hop right into the smart book and the homework. And if you get hung up on anything, you've got time to ask questions. And then those due dates are all due on Friday evenings. That doesn't mean wait till Friday evening to do anything. That would be horrible. Who would want to do that? And obviously, I won't be available Friday night to answer all your questions because, sure I'll have something fun to do outside of that. So please don't wait till Friday night. Please get a jump on it early on. We're covering about a chapter a week. And we do chapters 1, 2, 3. We skip 4 and 5 and we go to 6. And that's what's going to be on your first exam. So that first exam, you do have a whole week to prep for it. You'll have the Excel simulation assignment, a mini test, that Proctorio that you're going to download and have some extra credit little quiz on Proctorio so that you know that it works okay. Then the following week, you'll be expected to complete the exam. After the exam, even though I'm not releasing the exam questions, I'll have appointment times where you could set up an appointment to go over your exam results. So that will be available. And then we start again, chapter 7, 8, and 9, and then we've got our second exam. So the second exam, each exam just covers the material right before it. And you will still need to remember things from previous chapters to carry that through. But each exam is really testing primarily on the content of the new chapters. So there's no true comprehensive exam at the end. Um, Okay, so take a look at that. If you've got questions, I feel like there's maybe something I'm forgetting. I don't know. But if I am, I will put it out there in the announcements and I will fix that. Due date on the getting started. But what do you need to do right now? Hey, let's take a look at that. So, what do we want you to get done? So, in this first week, I should go back to the syllabus. In the first week, I want you to read the syllabus, get familiar with that, reach out to me with any questions. Let me go to the schedule. Then you're going to get registered in Connect. There were the links in the syllabus to walk you through how to do it. You can sign up for the free trial if you don't have the money to buy it right now. If you do buy the access code through the bookstore, you can charge it to your WIU account if you need to do that. Keep in mind, it's an access code. If you're getting it from the bookstore, they would mail that access code to you. So you'd want to do that sooner rather than later. Okay, so get registered in Connect. Do those Connect tutorials that are in that Getting Started folder. There's points attached to that, so it does count towards your grade. And then lastly, in that Connect folder, there is a quiz over the syllabus. So you want to get all those done, all those things done. And that does have a due date of Sunday evening, August 30th. So that's the only one that has a Sunday due date. Everything else is going to be due on the Friday. So then next week you'll start chapter 1, you'll do your normal COV Smart Book homework assignments. All those have a due date then of Friday, September 4th. Yes, that's Labor Day weekend, so definitely get it done ahead of time. Anyway, take a look. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions. And I think that's it for me. So I am going to sign off and I hope to hear from you soon. See ya. Have a good day.